What if I told you that the very chains that keep your mind restless, anxious, and exhausted could be broken with wisdom that has survived for over 2,000 years? What if I told you that the endless cycle of overthinking, the late nights of replaying every mistake, and the storms of worry that steal your peace, could be silenced by 8 timeless habits practiced by warriors, emperors, and philosophers who faced chaos far greater than ours, and yet stood unshaken? You see, the greatest battles are not fought on battlefields, but inside the mind. And the ancients knew this truth long before psychology, long before self-help books, long before modern therapy. They built a philosophy that was not meant to sit on dusty shelves, it was meant to be lived. It was meant to turn fear into calm, confusion into clarity, and overthinking into unshakable focus. That philosophy was Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who commanded the most powerful army in the world, wrote in his journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This was not theory for him. This was survival. And today, those same habits can save you from drowning in your own mind. So before you scroll away, ask yourself, are you tired of living as a prisoner to your thoughts? Are you ready to learn the very habits that built unbreakable men? If the answer is yes, then stay with me, because what you're about to hear could calm your mind in ways you've never imagined. And if you find even one truth in these words that sets you free, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join us, because the journey to mastery of the mind has only just begun, and I promise you, this is knowledge that can transform your life. The first Stoic habit that will free you from worry is this: separate what you can control from what you cannot. It sounds simple, but it is the very foundation of peace. Most of your suffering does not come from reality itself, it comes from trying to wrestle with what is outside your hands. You replay conversations, you agonize over the past, you dread the future. You worry about what people think of you, what might happen, what could go wrong. And yet Epictetus, a slave who rose to become one of the most respected Stoic teachers, taught this simple but eternal truth: some things are in our control and others not. Our opinions, our pursuits, our desires, our aversions, in a word, whatever are our own actions, are in our control. But our body, our possessions, our reputation, our office, whatever are not our own actions, are not in our control. Read that again. Everything you obsess over, your past mistakes, other people's judgments, what tomorrow may bring, these are not within your control. And the moment you understand this, the chains begin to fall. Imagine carrying 2 buckets, one filled with things you control, the other filled with things you don't. Which bucket are you pouring your energy into? Most people waste their strength lifting the bucket that can never be moved. But the Stoic pours all his strength into the first bucket, the one that contains his thoughts, his choices, his actions. That is where true freedom lives. So the next time worry strikes, stop. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, drop it. If the answer is yes, act with courage. This single habit can erase half of your worries overnight, because suddenly, the weight of the world is no longer on your shoulders. You don't need to control the storm, you only need to control the ship of your mind. And yet, let me be brutally honest with you, this habit is not easy. Your mind will fight it. It will whisper, but what if? What if they leave? What if I fail? What if I'm judged? What if it all goes wrong? And here, the Stoic stands firm and says, then let it. Let the world do what it will. I will master myself. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That is not just advice, it is a command. Stop pouring your strength into things that don't belong to you. Worry fades when you refuse to feed it. Overthinking dies when you focus only on what you can shape. This is how you turn chaos into calm. This is how you step out of the prison of worry and into the kingdom of clarity. The second ancient Stoic habit to stop worry and silence overthinking is this: practice the art of negative visualization. Now at first, this might sound strange, why would you imagine the worst if you're already drowning in worry? But here lies the genius of the Stoics. They understood that fear is born not from reality, but from uncertainty. When your mind keeps whispering, "What if," you are fighting shadows. But what happens when you turn and look those shadows in the eye? They vanish. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, taught this powerful exercise. He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. Instead of running from the worst-case scenario, you face it directly. You ask, what is the absolute worst that could happen? Then you accept it. You breathe into it. And once you've accepted it, you are free. Because now, your fear has no teeth. Worry thrives in vagueness, but dies in clarity. Picture this, you're worried about losing a job. Your mind spins in circles, imagining 1,000 vague disasters. But the Stoic sits down and asks, if I lost it, what then? He visualizes the struggle, the hardship, the hunger, and then, he sees himself surviving it. Finding another path. Building again. And suddenly, the monster shrinks. Because once you have already rehearsed disaster in your mind, nothing can surprise you. You become untouchable. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this habit every morning. He wrote, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." He didn't wake up expecting paradise. He prepared for struggle, and therefore, struggle never broke him. This habit is the weapon against overthinking. Because overthinking is nothing more than fear of, what if? The Stoic answers, what if it happens? Then I will endure. Then I will rise. And in that answer, the mind calms. Negative visualization doesn't make you weaker, it makes you stronger. It replaces fragile hope with unshakable readiness. And when you are ready for the worst, you stop fearing it. When you stop fearing it, worry dies. This is why the warrior sleeps soundly even on the eve of battle, because in his mind, he has already faced the fight and conquered it. So the next time your thoughts spiral, stop running. Look at the fear. See it fully. Accept it. And then remind yourself, you are stronger than anything that could possibly come. That is the Stoic's way. The third ancient Stoic habit to stop worry and overthinking is this: live fully in the present moment. Most of the pain you feel doesn't exist in reality, it lives either in the memory of the past or the imagination of the future. You suffer twice, once when something happens, and again when you replay it endlessly in your head. You suffer before things even arrive, inventing stories of disasters that have not yet come. The Stoics called this madness, and they prescribed a cure: return to the present, again and again, until your feet are firmly planted in the only time that truly belongs to you, this moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, confine yourself to the present. Think of the power in those words. When your mind races, pause. Ask yourself, what can I do right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, right now. The past is untouchable, the future unknowable, but this moment is always yours to command. Overthinking is the thief of presence. Worry is the enemy of now. But the Stoic pulls the mind back into alignment with reality, where action lives. Imagine you are carrying a heavy burden, but most of that weight isn't real. It's memories of yesterday's pain. It's fears about tomorrow's storm. It's layers upon layers of, what if? And suddenly, the Stoic walks up and slices those chains with a single question: what can I do right now? You see, living in the present moment does not mean ignoring the future or denying the past. It means refusing to be crushed by them. It means remembering that your strength, your choices, your power, exist only in this breath, this heartbeat, this second. And the more you practice this habit, the more your mind begins to heal. You will notice that life feels lighter. Problems feel smaller. Overthinking loses its grip. Because life was never meant to be lived in the shadows of yesterday or the storms of tomorrow. Life was meant to be lived here, in the radiant clarity of now. Now the fourth ancient Stoic habit is this, voluntary discomfort. At first, you might wonder, how can making life harder on purpose calm my mind? But the Stoics knew that most worry comes not from reality, but from our attachment to comfort. We fear losing the things we cling to, comfort, possessions, luxury, reputation. And because we fear their loss, we live in constant worry. Seneca gave the antidote. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition I feared?" Do you see the brilliance of this? When you practice voluntary discomfort, you train your soul to stop fearing loss. You eat simple food. You wear simple clothes. You strip life down to its bones, and you realize you can survive, even thrive, without the luxuries you thought were necessary. And suddenly, fear vanishes. Worry shrinks. Overthinking has no grip on a man who has already tested himself against hardship. Think about it, why do we worry so much about money? About jobs? About status? Because deep down, we fear what life would look like if we lost them. The Stoic answers, then let me taste it now. Let me rehearse the worst. Let me live simply for a time, so that I may know, even if everything is stripped away, I remain unbroken. And when you live this way, you become dangerous, not in violence, but in resilience. Because nothing can shake a man who has already faced discomfort willingly. Worry thrives in dependency. Overthinking feeds on fear of loss. But voluntary discomfort destroys both. It tells your mind, I am stronger than circumstances. I am free. And once you know you can live with less, you stop being controlled by fear of losing more. That is true liberation. The fifth ancient Stoic habit to silence worry is this, memento mori, remember that you will die. At first, this may sound grim, but in reality, it is the most powerful tool for peace of mind. You see, most overthinking comes from giving too much weight to small things. We magnify insults, obsess over mistakes, panic about outcomes, as if they are eternal. But the Stoic reminds himself daily, life is short, tomorrow is not promised, and death walks beside us. Far from depressing, this truth is liberating. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Think of the weight in those words. You could leave life right now. That fear that consumes you, that worry that keeps you awake, that scenario you replay over and over, will it matter when your final hour arrives? Or will you realize, too late, that you wasted your days chained to illusions? Because I will die, I will not give my mind to endless worry. Memento mori does not make you reckless, it makes you intentional. It silences the noise, because only what truly matters survives the fire of mortality. Overthinking dies when you see its smallness in the face of death. Worry shrinks when you remember your days are limited. Suddenly, every moment becomes a gift. Every sunrise becomes a blessing. Every breath becomes a chance to live fully instead of living in fear. That is the paradox of memento mori, by remembering death, you finally learn how to live. Now the sixth Stoic habit is this, control your inner dialogue. The battlefield of worry is not the outside world, it is the voice inside your head. And that voice, if left untamed, will turn your mind into a torture chamber. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In other words, reality is neutral. It is your inner story that makes it heavy or light, terrifying or calm. When something happens, you have two choices, to tell yourself a story that destroys you, or a story that strengthens you. Most people feed their worry by choosing the worst story every time. They didn't text me back, they must hate me. I failed once, I will never succeed. The future is uncertain, disaster is coming. But the Stoic rewrites the narrative. The Stoic chooses words that empower instead of weaken. He says, "They didn't text me back, maybe they're busy. I failed once, now I am wiser. The future is uncertain, yes, but uncertainty is possibility." Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." That is not poetry, it is law. Your mind becomes what you feed it. If you feed it worry, it becomes restless. If you feed it strength, it becomes calm. So the Stoic trains his inner dialogue as every negative thought is challenged. Every destructive story is replaced. Every anxious whisper is silenced by a stronger truth. This habit alone can transform your life. Imagine waking up and no longer being at the mercy of your mind's cruelest voice. Imagine replacing, "What if everything goes wrong," with, "What if everything goes right?" Imagine silencing the critic in your head and replacing it with a coach, a guide, a philosopher. That is what the Stoics did, and that is what you must do if you want to end the war of overthinking once and for all. The seventh ancient Stoic habit to destroy worry and overthinking is this: amor fati, love your fate. Not tolerate it. Not endure it. Love it. This was the most radical idea the Stoics ever gave us. Most people spend their lives fighting reality, arguing with destiny, cursing their misfortunes. And what is the result? Endless worry. Restless nights. A mind that refuses to find peace. But the Stoic looks at life's storms and says, "This too, is mine. This too, is part of my path." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything thrown into it." Do you see? The Stoic turns obstacles into fuel. He takes setbacks, losses, even pain, and transforms them into strength. Worry comes from resisting what is. Overthinking comes from trying to rewrite reality in your head. But amor fati kills both at once. It says, "Yes, life is difficult. Yes, the road is hard. And I will not only accept it, I will embrace it. Because this is the very fire that forges me." Think of a blacksmith hammering iron. The blows that would shatter a weaker mind only make the Stoic stronger. When you love your fate, worry has nothing left to feed on. Because even if the worst happens, you will welcome it as your teacher. And when every path leads, it makes you untouchable, unstoppable, unbreakable. And finally, the eighth Stoic habit, the crown that holds them all together: daily reflection and journaling. The Stoics did not just talk about philosophy, they practiced it every single day. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not as a book for the world, but as a private journal, a place to wrestle with his own thoughts, his own weaknesses, his own fears. Seneca wrote letters to remind himself of wisdom. Epictetus spoke to his students not as a man who had mastered everything, but as one who was constantly practicing. You see, the mind left unexamined becomes chaotic. Worry grows in silence. Overthinking thrives in the dark. But when you write, when you reflect, you bring light into the shadows. You confront your thoughts, shape them, guide them. Journaling is not just writing, it is taming. It is training the wild horse of the mind until it becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Imagine ending each day by writing down, "What did I fear today? What did I overthink? What was within my control, and what was not?" And then reminding yourself of the Stoic truths, that only your actions are yours, that discomfort makes you strong, that death makes life urgent, that fate is to be loved, that your inner dialogue must serve you, not enslave you. This final habit creates the circle of strength. Because the more you reflect, the deeper the habits sink into your bones. The more you practice, the calmer your mind becomes. And over time, you will notice something extraordinary: what once consumed you no longer even touches you. Worry becomes a stranger. Overthinking becomes a memory. And in its place rises a mind that is still, strong, and unshakable. So let me leave you with this: overthinking is not who you are, it is a habit. Worry is not your destiny, it is a choice. And choices can be changed. The Stoics knew that peace is not given, it is built. It is forged by daily habits, by relentless practice. And if you felt power in these words, if you felt something awaken in you, then don't let it fade, carry it forward. Like this video, subscribe, and join us on this path. Not because the algorithm demands it, but because together, we are building a community of minds that refuse to be prisoners of worry, that refuse to be slaves to fear. We are warriors of the inner world. And your presence here makes us stronger. Remember, calm is not found, it is created. And starting today, you have the habits to create it. If this video gave you even a spark of value, if it calmed your mind, shifted your perspective, or gave you strength, then do us one favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support is the reason we can keep creating and growing together. And if you feel we can do even better, tell us in the comments what you want to see more of, because our mission is to bring you the highest quality content to help you master your life.